You know, I really should have wore a Batman shirt. I didn't think about that. Oh well. Hello everybody and welcome back to Pitch This here on the MrEliMac channel. I am your host, MrEliMac, and Pitch This is the show where I pitch to you, the audience, a movie or a TV show that I would really like to see get made. And so, since we're already on the TV show trend, I thought I'd do another TV show pitch. And this is about a character that I very much enjoy, and it's not connected to what I'm going to be planning on doing in December, which is me basically taking the MCU and putting it as the DCU. That's very much what I am planning on in December, but this is a show about a DC character that I think it would be interesting to do as a TV show. This is a pitch for Batman. And Batman is a character that I think would very much work as a TV show, especially the way I have it formatted. And the way I would have the show is that it would be 10 seasons, very much a 10-season show. That way we can end it 10 episodes a season. That way we can end it on 100 episodes, because I'm someone that loves to do 100 episodes a season. And the first 5 seasons would very much be the early years of Batman and very much the early time of Batman, whereas season 6 is sort of when we start getting Robin, season 7 is when we get Batgirl, and that's when we sort of go into that trajectory. But very much the first 5 seasons are the early years of Batman, and that's sort of the era that I'm going to be focusing on the first 5 seasons of Batman. Those are the only 5 that I actually have plotted out. The most I have plotted out for season 6 is that Robin will be introduced and he will debut, and that's mainly it. Same for season 7, is that Batgirl, Barbara Gordon would be introduced and sort of be further on into the story. But again, that's all I have so far with those seasons, but I do have the first 5 plotted out. And if you like this pitch, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also hit the notification bell, that way you'll be notified whenever a new Pitch This video comes your way. So again, with that mini intro out of the way, let's get into the TV show pitch for Batman. And so, as I said earlier, I have the first 5 seasons fully, mildly pitched out. I'm on my phone, I have what the idea for all 5 of those seasons would be. So very much, let's get into it with what the season would be. Season 1 would very much be inspired from Batman Year 1 and Batman 0 Year, where sort of the first 5 episodes would be very much dedicated to Batman trying to take out the mobsters. Where, the first, let me just double check if it is the first 5. Yeah, the first 5 episodes would very much be dedicated to Batman teaming up with Gordon, or teaming up with Harvey Dent and then Gordon to take out mobsters like Carmine Falcone, Commissioner Loeb, and Arnold Flass. Those would sort of be the main antagonists sort of going into the first 5 episodes. But then we would sort of change over who the real main antagonist is in sort of episodes 6 through 10. And and that's sort of how each season would very much be dedicated to. The first 5 episodes are dedicated, or at least sort of the first episode of a season would introduce a new villain, just a little oh look, Batman's fighting this character for the first episode, and then the rest of the season would be dedicated to the story. But this one is more of just the first 5 episodes, the very first 5 episodes are very much heavily inspired by Batman Year 1 and him trying to take down the mob, specifically Carmine Falcone. Episode 6 is where we get a little hint of a villain for the future, and that is Red Hood. Red Hood would very much be introduced in episode 6 and only be handled in episode 6, and then episode 7 through 10 would very much take the 0 Year inspiration, where Riddler is the main antagonist and flooding of the city, sort of like the Batman, but again, it's very much 0 Year inspired, and Riddler is the main antagonist. And sort of the main cast list that I have for season 1 is Bruce Wayne Batman, Lieutenant James Gordon, Alfred, Philip Kane, who was a major character in the 0 Year story. I would have him continue to have him as a character and have him be a major character, not antagonist, but a major character who is also attached to Riddler, and have him be not attached to the Red Hood like in the original story of how he was a member of the Red Hood gang. I wouldn't have that. I would just have him be a character that is working at Wayne Enterprises and someone that is mildly connected to the Riddler. Selina Kyle would be a major main character for the first season at least, because I want to sort of start setting up her as a major character. Assistant District Attorney Harvey Dent would be a major supporting character for Batman in this story. Lucius Fox would be in it as well as sort of, again, I really love the idea of Lucius Fox as the person that helps Bruce Wayne make all the tech, so that is a thing that would be continued. Commissioner Loeb would be a major character. Carmine Falcone would be the sort of the main antagonist of the first half of the season, but again, the Riddler would still be very much a major antagonist or the main antagonist throughout the entire season. Sarah Essen, who is the person that Gordon has an affair with in Batman Year One, she would be a main character in this story. And then the Riddler, again, Edward Nygma, would be one of the main characters of this season, being the main antagonist of the show. Other characters that would appear, Arnold Flass, of course, mainly for the first half, but he would appear throughout. Holly Robinson, who is the little girl that was with Selina, she would be a character that would appear. Barbara Eileen Gordon, the elder Barbara Gordon, not the Barbara Gordon that we know that becomes Batgirl. Gordon's wife would very much be a major character in season 1 and throughout the show. Stan the Pimp, he would be a character because Stan the Pimp is the person that that is sort of like the pimp of Selina Kyle, so he would be a major character for a few episodes. Jefferson Skeevers, Officer Stan Merkel, Brandon, our SWAT leader Brandon. Again, these are major characters from Batman Year 1 that would cross over into the show, and I feel like having these characters from Year 1 be in a show format works better than just having them in a movie format, hence why I'm pitching the TV show that I would do for Batman. And I'll also see the show for like HBO Max or HBO. I see this being more of a hard PG-13 to R-rated show. That way you can get a little bit more done than you would normally. Johnny Vitti, who is a character for Carmine Falcone, his nephew would be a major character. Again, the Red Hood would appear in one episode, and that would be episode 6, so we can hint at him. Oswald Cobblepot would be similar to... And again, I created all this before the Batman came out, so this was very much... I didn't realize the Batman would take so much... I would have similar ideas to the Batman. So the Penguin is very much a character that would be working under Carmine Falcone, that would want to rise up in the ranks. Again, similar to the Batman, but again, I made all these ideas before the Batman even came out, before I even saw the Batman, and this was around 2021 when I came up with this idea, so finally pitching it. And yeah, it's so funny how similar some people have of their ideas. And Detective Harvey Bullock would be a major recurring character. Again, there would be 10 episodes per season. Each of them would not be given a name. It would just be Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. That way we can continue on with that theme. Ultimately, in the end, Batman would defeat the Riddler. Gordon, Essen, Alfred, and Lucius would make their stand against some bad guys. And then I would have it to where there would be a major plot through line for Harvey where he has to make a deal with Falcone to beat the Riddler and sort of help Gotham in the future. But yeah, that's sort of season 1, where it's mainly just Batman's origin story, his Year 1, and having him like go up against the Riddler. And I do have some fan casting for it, like Richard Madden I had in mind for Batman. Pierce Brosnan is who I had for Alfred. Corey Hawkins is who I had for Harvey. Diane Guerrero is who I had for Selina. Forrest Whitaker I had for Lucius, and Brian Garrity, I can't pronounce his last name, but he is who I had for James Gordon. And Ben Whishaw is who I had for the Riddler. But yeah, those are some of the main players for Batman Season 1. Now for Batman Season 2, I hope this is Season 2. Batman Season 2. This one is very much this season is heavily inspired by Batman and the Monster Man and Batman Terror and Batman Prey as well. Because, yeah, I have a character from Batman Prey in this as well. And this is sort of a new season, so Selena Kyle, I had at the end, leaves after season 1. So these are some of the characters that I have for season 2. It's Batman returning, of course. Gordon is not Lieutenant anymore, he's Captain Gordon. Alfred is back. Harvey Dent is back, still as the ADA. Lucius is back. Penguin is starting to make more waves as Penguin, sort of like, he's now a main character. He's like in the main credit scene now. He's not a recurring character. And since Carmine is gone, he's sort of taking that spot. Hugo Strange is one of my main antagonists with Dr. Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, hence why Batman Terror is listed. I have Scarecrow sort of being an apprentice of sorts to Hugo Strange, and that's sort of the relationship with that. But ultimately, in the end, it would come down to Scarecrow being the main antagonist, and I would kill off Professor Hugo Strange. It would sort of be Scarecrow being like, oh, you really think that I can't see what you're doing, how you're trying to use me? Well, let's see what you're really afraid of. And so that's how Scarecrow would ultimately get the better of Professor Hugo Strange. This is also the season I would introduce Julie Madison in it as sort of like the new love interest, since I have Selena going away from last season. And I really wanted this show to sort of show all the different love interests of Batman as well. So Julie Madison is playing an important part in this season. And we also, another main character that I have is Sergeant Max Court. And if you don't know that name, he's a character that was in Batman Prey, who was again a major character for Batman Prey, another Hugo Strange story. And it's sort of Hugo Strange taking him, manipulating him into being a vigilante, and sort of a vigilante known as Scourge, and that's that story playing out. And that is a storyline that would go for that character. Other characters, returning characters, are Barbara Gordon and Stan Merkel. Carmine Falcone would be back, but for an episode. Catwoman would return for an episode. Sergeant Brandon would return for an episode. Harvey Bullock is back, and some of the newer characters would be Sal Maroni, would get introduced this season. Norman Madison, who was a major character for Julie in Batman and the Monster Man and Batman and the Mad Monk. That would be that character being introduced. Sanjay, who was the main henchman in Batman and the Monster Man 2, Hugo Strange, he's in this. We'd also get the introduction of the new commissioner, Peter Grogan. Renee Montoya would make her debut in this. Leslie Tompkins would make her debut. And, as I said, each first episode would get sort of a introduction to a new character, a new Batman, another rogue in the Batman's Rogue Gallery. And in that one, this is Calendar Man. Calendar Man would make his appearance in the first episode, and Batman would have to take him down. He does, but throughout this entire season, it's Batman trying to take down Hugo Strange, who is getting into his mind, trying to take down, again, Hugo Strange is sort of the first villain that discovers Batman's identity, and we would go through that story of Batman trying to take down Hugo Strange, who has discovered that Batman and Bruce Wayne are one and the same, and also the rise of Scarecrow and sort of what he is being planned, and Scarecrow sort of taking the forefront. Though Hugo Strange is sort of the main antagonist throughout, near the final few episodes, that's when Scarecrow would take the forefront of being the main antagonist of this story, and also deal with Harvey Dent having to repay his debts from what he had to accomplish with Carmine Falcone and with the Penguin. And so, again, some of the fan casts that we had were Richard Madden returning, Brian Garrity returning, Pierce Brosnan, Corey Hawkins, Forrest Whitaker, Dan Fogler, who I don't know, I can't remember his character's name from Fantastic Beasts. He is returning as Penguin. I didn't mention him the first time because I was only mentioning the main cast list. So he's returning as Penguin. Stanley Tucci is playing Professor Hugo Strange. I really love Stanley Tucci, and I feel like Hugo Strange would be a great role for him. Bill Skarsgård is who I have playing Scarecrow. because I didn't want him to play the typical, like, who you would expect to play the Joker. And so I very much wanted him to play another Batman villain, and I think Scarecrow would be fun for him. Emma Stone, I cast as Julie Madison, because I think she might have fun. And also, Julie Madison in Batman and the Monster Men is completely different from classic Golden Age Julie Madison, who I think she wants to be an actress. And this one, she more of like, I want to be a lawyer, and I want to be someone that helps the people. And I would very much continue with that version of the character. And for Sergeant Max Court, I would have Liam McIntyre. Also, by the way, I made this all the way back in 2021. I would change some of the fan casts. Like, for example, I have Ray Liotta playing Carmine Falcone. He's currently passed away, and I would get a different actor to play him, but at the time I had Ray Liotta as Carmine Falcone, and I have Andy Garcia as Sal Maroni. For Calendar Man, I have Conleth Hill, who plays Varys in Game of Thrones. I have a lot of Game of Thrones actors, I realized when I was doing these fan casts, because I love Game of Thrones. And Robert Patrick would play Norman Madison, and Kate Mulgrew would be my Leslie Tompkins. So yeah, season 2 is very much Batman versus Hugo Strange and Scarecrow, because I really liked that pairing, and when I saw that it was actually a pairing that happened in the comics, I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna run with that, because that seems like a lot of fun. And so now we go over to season 3. Season 3 is very much heavily inspired, not fully inspired by Batman Earth 1, but there's an element in it that is inspired by Earth 1, and it's also inspired by the Penguin Triumphant, because this is the season that is full on Oswald Cobblepot is the main antagonist. He's the one that's taking all the glory as sort of the main antagonist, and Dan Fogler will fully get, as the Penguin, would fully get his stance, and also Carmine Falcone and Sal Maroni would fully be back as major characters. Julie Madison would leave after season 2 because she would want to help out with the Peace Corps, I think that's what it's called, but the Peace Corps, and help out in different country. And this season is sort of when we get the introduction of Vicky Vale, played by Deborah Ann Woll, who played Karen Page in the Daredevil show. And so yeah, this is very much, the first half is very much just Penguin or Bruce Wayne discovering about Joe Chill, and Penguin sort of hiding behind the idea, or just trying to regather himself. And the first half of the season is very much when we fully tie up the Joe Chill storyline, because I really wanted to find a way to wrap up Joe Chill, and that's the first half of the season. The second half of the season is very much the Penguin is running for mayor of Gotham City, and him trying to run for mayor, trying to get that good clout before everything falls apart. That's the element of Batman Earth 1, is Penguin actually gets elected mayor, and then chaos ensues after people find out about his evil deeds. But to give you all, again, because every first episode is Batman fighting a new threat that only appears for one episode, I'm going to go ahead and tell you who that is. It's Firefly. It's Batman vs. Firefly in episode 1. The reason why I'm introducing a lot of these villains is so I can pay that off in season 5. Trust me, it will all make sense. And so, Richard Madden, Brian Garrity, Pierce Brosnan, Corey Hawkins, Forrest Whitaker, Dan Fogler, Ray Liotta, if he were at the time, and Andy Garcia return as our main cast members of Batman, James Gordon, Alfred, Harvey Dent, Lucius Fox, Cobblepot, Falcone, and Maroni. They return. Vicky Vale is introduced as Deborah Ann Woll. Barbara Gordon, Stan Merkel, who is now a sergeant. SWAT leader Brandon, Detective Harvey Bullock, Detective Renee Montoya, Peter Grogan, Leslie Tompkins, they're all back. Selena Kyle returns. Again, Selena returns throughout the show, but in small capacities. Joe Chill is in this, and I have him being played by Joseph Fiennes. That's who I fan cast. Joseph Fiennes, if you don't know, was Shakespeare in Shakespeare in Love. He also played Merlin in that short-lived Camelot show on Stars. I want to say it was on Stars. People can correct me if I am wrong. He's also the younger brother of Ralph Fiennes, so there you go. I have Firefly being played by Alfie Allen, who played Theon Greyjoy. Also, I forgot, Penguin will have a main hitman and bodyguard, and that is Deadshot, who I have being played by Jon Bernthal, because I love Jon Bernthal. Also, the mayor, the previous mayor before Oswald gets elected, Wilson Class, he will be played by Eddie Marsan. So yeah, I'm getting all this, a lot of pieces in it, and I very much wanted to do the story of Penguin gets elected as mayor, because I very much love that story. I don't know why I like that story, it's just a fun story that I like. Now, Season 4 is a big one. Season 4 is the big one. I need to find it. There it is. Season 4 is the big one because it is inspired by Batman, the Man Who Laughs. So Season 4 is the big Joker season. There were a lot of moments where I was like, do I want Joker to be like the Season 3 villain, or do I want him to be the Season 2 villain? Season 1, no, I wanted to save Joker for Season 4, because I think a lot of people would have expected to do Joker pretty soon. But instead, I saved Joker for Season 4, and Joker is played, because he was the Red Hood who fell into the vat of chemicals, he is played by Reese Wakefield, who, if you don't know Reese Wakefield, he was the guy in The Purge. If you ever seen the first Purge movie, he was the guy that was smiling at the camera that Ethan Hawke had. He was the one that was saying, hey, just let this guy out, and we'll leave you guys alone. And so he was the leader of that gang in The Purge that invaded that house. And that was that one performance alone, and that big old smile on his face made me go, that guy can play the Joker someday. I would like him to play the Joker someday. And that's how we get to this current situation right here. And again, like, the first episode again is the fights a random villain who did I have him face? Or did I not have him face anyone? Oh, I didn't. No, I had him face Victor Zsasz. So Victor Zsasz, who I cast at Victor Zsasz would be played by Joseph Gilgan, who was the vampire and preacher. He would be the episode 1 villain. But throughout the rest of it is just Batman trying to stop the Joker. And what is Joker's plan? Who knows? It would be Joker just trying to systematically take out Gotham City one by one and trying to drive the entire city into chaos, and Batman trying to stop him. And also, this is sort of when we get some major characters and stuff slowly start to get knocked off. Not yet, though. Not yet. The next season is when some of the big mobster characters start getting knocked off. And Joker is very much also the person that I would have it be in this season. He is the one responsible for scarring Harvey Dent. So we would see Harvey Dent become Two-Face sort of like at the end of this season, and everyone would be like, oh my god, Joker scarred Harvey Dent. So, that would be the big thing getting ready for next season. And then the entire, again, this would be very much the season of Batman is realizing, there are a lot of like big criminals coming out because of me. And this one's the biggest one yet, the Joker. And that's sort of the entire story, and even Joker being like, no, you and I are not that different. I'm just thinking that we're gonna be doing this forever, The Joker's monologue, or Heath Ledger's Joker's monologue after Batman beats him in The Dark Knight. I love that monologue. So it would sort of be that sort of monologue concept is what's happening. And I would even have this season have like the big hits of the Joker, of all the different crimes that he has committed throughout the years, like the Laughing Fish and those stories like happening in this season, with all of it seeming like it's not making sense. Like, why is Joker doing all of these different crimes, until we get to the apex of like, this is why he's doing it. He's creating the chaos system. And even at the very end, it's revealed like, he's been poisoning the water supply the entire time, and we just never noticed. And that's where we ultimately to the final fight between Batman and Joker, and Batman being able to clean the water supply and saving the day. And yeah, that's season 4. And then season 5, which is again the final season that I've sort of plotted out, would be the season that is based off of The Long Halloween, Eye of the Beholder, and Batman Two-Face, where Harvey Dent is full Two-Face mode. Or like, at least in like the first few episodes, he's not Two-Face, but then sort of once episode 5 hits, episode 5, full Two-Face. And the first episode where it just has the random villain, I don't think I actually had that. No, I didn't, because this is very much the Long Halloween. Catwoman returns as a main character because the importance of the Long Halloween. Two-Face goes full villain in this. Richard Madden, Batman's back. Corey Hawkins going full Two-Face. And Barbara Gordon, the wife of Jim Gordon. This is sort of her tipping point at when the story is being told, where it's like, okay, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of Gotham. Jim, we have to leave. And he's like, we can't. I work here. I live here at this point. And she's like, I don't care anymore. We need to leave. And so we're getting some, this is the movie where Falcone and Maroni, they get knocked out. They get killed. And we get more of the mob in this movie. We get Alberto Falcone, who I have Charlie Heaton playing. We get Johnny Vitti. He gets killed. Carla Vitti, who I have Kathleen Turner playing. She gets knocked off. Sophia Falcone Gigante, Elizabeth Debicki. She gets knocked off. Milos Grappa, Brian Austin Green, knocked out. Vernon Fields, Freddie Highmore, knocked out. And then we get a lot of flashbacks to Christopher Dent, where we start seeing how the split personality of Big Bad Harv was created due to the coping mechanism of Christopher Dent, who I have Terrence Howard playing. Have Terrence Howard playing the dad to Corey Hawkins, and I even have Christopher Dent come back into regular day, and having that would sort of be the thing that pushes Harvey, is like Christopher Dent continues to chastise his son, and Harvey is like, no, I'm not having. And it's like basically the Big Bad Harv side of him. It's like, hey, you don't need him anymore. He's been causing you nothing but pain for years. Why don't you just kill him? Why don't you kill him? And then like the main side of him is like, no, we can't kill him. And then that's when Big Bad Harv says, flip the coin. Let the coin decide. And so Harvey flips the coin, it lands on the bad side, and he kills his dad. And that ultimately is what pushes Harvey to become the Two-Face and kill off the mob, sort of. And I'm not going to have like the holiday killer, because I think that would add too much of it. It's more of just like, I'm just taking the holiday concept and I'm taking Two-Face and I'm putting it together to make the one character. That way I can focus in on that. And then it would sort of end with Two-Face wanting to kill Joker and being like, no, he caused me this. He made me this. I am going to get my revenge. And Joker's just having a ball the entire time. And ultimately Batman saves Joker, beats Two-Face, and then he brings them both back to Arkham. And that's sort of how Season 5 would end, on a down note. And then again, Season 6 is when we get Dick Grayson as Robin. Season 7 is when we get Barbara Gordon. I can say, Season 10, I did have it planned out to where that's when we would get Ra's al Ghul. And that would be sort of the final story of Batman, at least in the series, is Batman versus Ra's al Ghul. And Batman beating Ra's al Ghul and saving Gotham ultimately. And it's sort of also like that season is very much No Man's Land, Cataclysm, like all the big, like the end of Gotham City stories. And yeah, that's sort of what I would do if I were doing a Batman show. I know it was all over the place because of all of the ideas that I had rattling around in my brain, but ultimately in the end of the day, I think Batman would make a fun series. And I think Batman would make a fun series, and I would love to see Batman as a television show, especially if you did it in the format of 10 episodes, HBO show, and just took it very seriously, but not too seriously to where, hey, we're not going to have any fun with this, it's only going to be dark, because once you have, like, the sidekicks being introduced, like Robin and Batgirl, you need to take the seriousness away a little bit more, and, like, show, like, hey, Batman has a lighter side. But very much the first 5 seasons would very much be, this is dark Batman, this is the dark years of Batman. And then when season 6 happens, it's like, okay, the lighter years are starting. And then I also wanted it to have the sidekicks, those two in particular, be introduced before season 10. That way, when season 10 comes around with Ra's al Ghul and him, like, pushing Batman against the wall, it's sort of, Batman's not alone in his fight against evil. He has his allies. He has Robin. He has Batgirl. And that's where we get that ultimate end of Batman, Robin, Batgirl saving the day in the end. But with all that being said, what were your thoughts on the TV show Pitch? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you indifferent to it? Whatever your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new Pitch This video comes your way. Until next time, I've been Mr. EliMac. You've been the audience, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.